Everybody, it's Mike Kleonowitz coming to you today. This is going to be from my Perry Hall Real Estate Sales Office. The first, the first live podcast from my laptop that I'm doing. So today is a huge day. Today is the day that I got notification from my attorney that the charity organization that we are starting called Right Way Outreach Ministries Incorporated has been officially approved by the state of Maryland and is registered to be doing business in the state of Maryland, and we are going to be opening up some business banking accounts. And we are also working aggressively on step number two, which is going to be to become a full-fledged nonprofit organization that we can then turn around and really help the community. So Right Way Outreach Ministries is officially live. It started as Mike's Ministries on Facebook. Just started as just an idea that I had to try to reach out to people and just post, cool stuff that I saw about Jesus, about God, and just trying to impact people's lives that way and bring as many people back to Christ as I possibly can, and kind of morphed into this idea of throughout the past several I'd say months. Um I have had people approach me. We've had conversations about things like what, do churches really do for the local community? And we were saying, there's more that can be done, especially regarding the people who are the most forgotten about and kind of like the black sheep of our whole community, which are the homeless people in our communities. And, while they might not be sleeping right outside of the church doors, they're not that far from the church and they're everywhere. Specifically, we're talking about Harford County, Maryland. There's a huge problem, and huge amount of homeless people in the Aberdeen area, as well as all along the Route 40 corridor, going down into Joppa and even into Edgewood and that whole area around there. And we want to, our big goal, our big um, audacious goal is to be able to raise funds to be able to create and build a transitionary housing uh, program for homeless people specifically, where we could literally approach someone on the street who's homeless and say, we know you're hungry. Why don't you sit down with us and listen to what we have to say? Because we might actually be able to change your life, you know, and maybe buy them lunch and sit them down and give them a one-page sheet of rules and see if they can live by these rules, and tell them, if you can follow these rules of this program, we got a program that'll take you in right now. It'll feed you, it'll clothe you, it'll let you take showers, it'll give you a place to sleep, and you can stay there up to 6 months. It's going to teach you skills on how to get a job. You're going to be able to see a doctor to see if there's any other problems going on with you, things like that. We had this big vision of having this complex, for lack of a better term, but I want it to be more like a hotel type thing where it's a 6 month free stay, and it's a hand up, not a hand out. This is for people that need to restart their lives, that have no other options but other than being on the street. And most of them are going to come from the street right into the facility. And have a chance to be able to network with other people, have a chance. Hopefully, we'll be able to partner with different companies and organizations that are willing to offer these people jobs and employment opportunities. We can get them cleaned up. We can get them fed. We can get them some Bible studies in there too, and get them a recovery program coming out to help them with their addictions and their drug and alcohol problems if they have that, or anxiety or depression or whatever, and help them learn how to use computers, help them learn how to use artificial intelligence, help them learn how to put together a resume, help them learn how to prepare for an interview, and like I said, hopefully we'll be able to make some strategic, um, connections with some big companies, maybe like an Amazon or an Under Armour, or some big company to the Baltimore area that's willing to step up and say, you know what, we're going to actually hire these people, give them a shot to come work at our company and pay them so we can help them get on their feet, and then help them get from this program into their own apartments and living situations and try to start their lives over again. But we need funding for this, and funding's got to come from all over the place and from people with money. And so we're going to be doing all kinds of different charity events and organizations, and we're going to be doing a golf tournament. We're going to be trying to connect with some local country clubs and do some black tie gala type fundraising events to try to get some money in the bank, and maybe bring some celebrities out there if they want to get involved, local celebrities, to do some meet and greets and maybe do some talks about trying to raise some money for the organization. And we're going to be going after aggressively grants that we might be eligible for, especially once we achieve nonprofit status. We'll be going after grants from the federal government, from the state government, from local governments, the county. We're going to need a place to build this facility, to get it up and running. We're going to need to find a location for that. Aberdeen seems to be the problem where most of the homelessness is that we see right now, from people that we know personally within our organization. We're going to be having some videos, where we have a good friend of ours that works closely with these homeless people, and he's going to go out and shoot some videos so we can show people the problem and actually bring light to the problem of how these people live, where they live, and how they live in these homeless camps, and what their situations like, and how they actually survive, and interview some of them and talk to some of them about if they had an opportunity to change their life, would they want to, and see what these people have to say straight from them. We're going to be putting up some raw footage so you can see what's going on in your backyards right here in Harford County, Maryland. And hopefully, you'll feel in your heart compelled to, maybe help out with this program that we're trying to put together and trying to help these people. It's great if you give them food, and you have a little food pantry and you have your little food drive. But when you go and you go and give a can of yams to a homeless person who doesn't even have a can opener, it's really not doing that much bit of good to the people on the street. You know, um, these are band-aids. These are make you feel good. Well, I dropped off some groceries and I did my part. No, it's not just throw food at it, and it's not just stop by and give them gift cards and buy them a chicken sandwich or whatever and give it to them while they're standing on the side of the road. These people, they deserve better than that. And right now, their only options that they have is, I'm either going to wind up in a mental facility where all they're going to do there is just drug them up, put them on all kinds of psychiatric medications, and tell them they got all these problems, and probably send them into a depression, and create them to want to kill themselves with suicidal thoughts with all these side effects, all these drugs that these doctors just want to pump them full of. And a lot of the homeless people use the psychiatric facilities as shelters because they don't have any place to stay, especially when it gets extra cold out, during the winter time, or severely hot out during the summertime. Um, they use that. So, option one is mental health facility. Option two is they get locked up for doing something stupid to somebody and they go to jail. So now we got them in jail. And option three is, well, we're just going to keep them living in the woods. And then option four is, well, they just die. So, I mean, that's really the only options they have right now is mental health facility, jail, staying on the street, or just dying. There's no place that I know of that will pick them up and take them there right off the street and just give them a shower, give them a place to eat, and teach them some job skills, and let them see a doctor, and let them have somebody cut their hair and do all that, for them. This is needed in our community, and it's time that somebody steps up and does something about it. And that's kind of what we're trying to do with our organization, is to start with helping these homeless people out, and being one of our main goals with the program. We want to provide free transitional housing for homeless men and women in Harford County, Maryland. You don't want to keep men and women together because that creates all kinds of other problems. And, women got their own issues and men got their own issues. So it would be great to have one facility where you have a men's side and you have a woman's side um, in the facility. The vision would be some type of a 6-month type of program where they can come and they can, as long as they follow the rules, there's no drugs and alcohol use, there's no violence towards other people, towards staff, or towards other people at the facility. We would have a detailed list of rules on one piece of paper that we would ask them all to agree to. And as long as they agreed, and as long as they abided to the rules with having guests and all kinds of other different things that go into that, it would work. This would work. And, is it going to solve the problem like completely? No, because there's always going to be people that don't want to partake in the program, right? But like, how great would it be if you talked to one of them on the street and you were able to like give them a card and say, all right, well, you don't want to partake in the program now, so that's fine. But if you change your mind and you find yourself saying, I'm really getting sick of sitting out here on the street and trying to figure out where I'm going to go to the bathroom or rinse my face off. And I really am willing to give up the bottle, and I'm willing to give up the pills, I'm willing to give up the drugs, and I really want to try to clean myself up. And, maybe it'd be nice for them to have a card with a phone number on it that they could call and somebody would just come pick them up and bring them to the facility. This is just like a pilot program. This is just like an idea, but I mean, it's like, why not try something? And it's not like we don't have money, because they had all this money to bring all these illegal immigrants into the country and put them up in hotel rooms and get them driver's licenses and social security numbers and phones and everything else that they've been doing for the past several years. So it's like all that money had to get paid from something. So you would think maybe, the government has some money to help out a homeless type of program through grants and things, and people that actually do want to make a difference and do something. So we'll be aggressively seeking funding from, grants, private donations. There's some very wealthy people in our communities that are looking for a solid nonprofit to do business with. So hopefully, once we get nonprofit status, we'll be able to meet with some of those people and in more detail over dinner and explain, this is exactly what we're doing to try to help the community. Church partnerships, churches out there, we want to work with you. If you have extra funds that you could help us with our program and our needs, it'd be great to have you be a partner of a program that's going to be helping out the community right here in Harford County, Maryland, and maybe put our plans on hold for, helping Africa for right now. Maybe instead of going on our safari missions and all our little mission trips that everybody likes to do and feel good about themselves by helping out the people in Africa who need running water and stuff like that. Maybe we focus on people in the United States, or us, us, right? That's what US is, us. And maybe we focus on people that are here that need running water and that need electricity and that need food and that need to get showers and that need to see a dentist and need to see a doctor, right? Maybe we focus on those people, and not just cast them away because they made a couple bad decisions more than we did. Because the fact of the matter is, a lot of us are only, two or three really bad decisions away from being out on the street ourselves. We just haven't made those bad decisions just yet. But it happens. Life throws you curveballs. People lose jobs. I personally know a lady who's homeless right now. She has no substance abuse problem, and she lives in a van. She's been living in a van for 3 years. And the reason she lives in a van is because she had her own house. She was a fully productive member of society, had her house. She, went to, had an in home daycare that she ran with kids and took care of them, took a lot of the kids in the neighborhood kind of thing. And she actually got some cancer, like cervical cancer. And during her treatment, she was not able to lift the children up physically and move them. So she had to stop watching the children while she got treatment for her cancer that she had. And because she lost the kids, watching the kids, she lost the income. And because she lost the income, she lost the house because they took the house. And then she wound up living in the van. Now she got the cancer taken care of, but now she's homeless and she's trying to deliver food during DoorDash or whatever, and she can't even make ends meet to get back into a house. So, like, homelessness can sneak up on you. It's not something, these people are not, actively, going to bed in their house at night and saying, I can't wait to wake up and be a homeless person tomorrow. Like, that's not what these people are doing with their lives. It's just they're getting stuck in these downward spirals and these bad decisions. And we need people to help them out and stop just turning the other way, or just ignoring the problem and pretending like they're not there, because they are there. And Jesus cares about everybody, not just the haves and the people that have things. He cares about the have nots. He cares about, what are we doing to help out all of his children, and how are we loving all of his children, and that's what our organization is all about, is trying to help the people who need healing and restoration and hope. um, you know, this is a community ministry. It's not just mine. I'm not the only one. There's other people that are part of this organization. And, as we grow and we get more funding, we're going to have more events and more things that we're going to need more people for, and volunteers. And, we're going to start as volunteers. We don't want to be one of these organizations like that runs like most of these churches, like top heavy, right? Where you got like 17 pastors and they all make $500,000 a year. And, they got to go on a trip every other week to, Dallas and Vegas and over into Europe, for some spiritual convention, and get health insurance and retirement packages and housing allowances and everything. That's not what we're trying to do with this ministry. This is why we named it, specifically named it Right Way Outreach Ministries, is because We want to do it the right way. We don't want to do it the way that everybody else is doing it, where all your donations wind up going to the people who are running the organization and they pocket it as salaries and benefits and perks and don't actually take the money and go and help the people that they're supposed to be doing, you know? So, like, that's what the whole point of our organization is, and that's why we want to be, running on a lot of volunteers, until we can really get things going, and then we have to hire a full-time staff member or something to answer phones or something like that, like, but we're trying to run lean, and I know how to do that because I'm a real estate agent. I've been in the real estate business for 20 years, and I've been running my real estate company lean for 20 years. I had a little team for a while. I had all these agents working for me, and it just got out of control fast because everybody wanted more money and everybody wanted more leads and everything. And I figured, it's better just to keep it myself. And over the years, I've run into other agents who, measure their success by, well, how much volume did you sell? And, how many homes did you sell? And how much money did you make and all that? And it's not about any of that, because nothing matters how much money you make or how much money comes into a charity organization, when you're sitting there and you have expenses that are through the roof, right? I mean, to me, if you keep your expenses low, then you don't need to make as much money as everybody else. And it's the same way with a charity organization. When you keep your expenses low, then you have more money that you can give back to the community, which is the whole point of the organization, or should be the point of the organization. So that's what we're doing. So we're going to need volunteers. We're going to need prayer warriors. We're going to need donors. We're going to need partners. We're going to need business sponsorships. Anyone who wants to be part of real change, if you feel called, reach out, join our Facebook page, Right Way Outreach Ministries. We're on Facebook. We have a YouTube channel that we're just getting started off the ground. We have like one video on there, but we got a bunch more that are going to be coming. You're going to see them coming. And, we got to get our logos designed. We got to get our bank accounts opened up. We got to start planning some events that we're going to be doing for some charity and some fundraising opportunities. And all this is going to need to be coordinated by volunteers and people in the community to help. So why we're different, this is not some kind of corporate charity with all this red tape. We're Holy Spirit led, boots on the ground, and focused on real healing, not fluff. We're not here to judge people. We're here to love. We're here to serve. And we're here to point people to the right way, and that's giving everybody an opportunity to better themselves and improve themselves. And, we may, if time allows, we may decide at some point to open this up to people who are getting released from jail or prison, that need some transitionary housing too, because those are people that are ripe for homelessness. They have not many options when they get out. They got records, and they got problems with people wanting to give them jobs. So, it's like, if they can't make money, well, then what are they going to do? Well, then they're going to rob people. They're going to steal cars. They're going to sell drugs. They're going to rob banks. They're going to, I mean, it's like one thing after another. So you got to try to help these people. And it's not, like I said, it's not a handout, it's a hand up. It's giving them an opportunity to improve themselves. The work is going to come from them. They're either going to want to move up, they're either going to want to better themselves, or they're not going to want to better themselves. And that's up to them. That's their choice. But what we're trying to do is provide an opportunity for people to say, you know what, we're going to give you a shot. You got 6 months to stay in this program. We're going to give you every opportunity that we got to try to get you back on your feet. And if after 6 months you don't do it, well, we got other people that need a shot too. So we're more than happy to pass you along to some other organization. We're not trying to kick you out, but we got a whole bunch of people that need help. So, we can't keep you forever. And they need to understand that at some point they need to wake up and they need to be responsible for themselves and take advantage of the situation that we're going to bless them with. But our upcoming projects, are going to be some charity dinners. Like I said, we're going to try to partner with some local sports people and celebrities, and past, present, and maybe future celebrities to make appearances and take pictures and sign autographs and sell tickets to some of our events, and just have a chance to have some different galas and just some local outreach events with people, speaking engagements. We're going to be doing some healing type seminars. I'm personally going to be teaching some healing seminars on how you can heal yourself using artificial intelligence and how you can grow closer to God that way. So we're going to be doing that. Um, Promoting Bible studies and fellowship groups with people. It's going to be big for us too. We're probably going to have our own Bible studies too. At different places and locations that I kind of already do. And eventually, we might be launching something called Right Wave Recovery Groups, where we're coming up with a new program which is going to be like an expedited version of doing the 12 steps recovery program. Sometimes it takes people years to do the 12 steps, but we want to try to fast forward that a little bit and get people to be able to do 12 steps in 12 weeks. And we feel that you can do it if you utilize things like artificial intelligence and you use that. And, instead of having a human sponsor, you might be able to have an AI sponsor where you can go to your computer at any time, 24/7, and have a non judgmental person sit there and chat with you about whatever you're stressing out about or whatever you're, thinking about using drugs or whatever, like you can help you try to get you out of that situation. So, this is kind of just the beginning, um, you know, of what we're trying to do here. So today is like day one. We just got approved, and now we're going for nonprofit. But whether you're broken, burned out, or looking to give back, you have a home with us. We're here for real people, real healing, and doing it the right way. Like I said, we don't want to do it the way everybody else does it. With all these people working for a nonprofit, making all this money, and then, oh, well, we got 200 grand, but it all goes out to everybody who works here. And we really only got 10 grand to help out the charities with. No, like we want to do it mostly with volunteers and kind of flip that around and say, we got maybe, 10 or 20 grand in expenses, but we got the other $180,000 to be able to help with these programs and the costs and everything, and include that on top of the grant funding that we can get and maybe some major donations out there from some big donors that are wealthy, that are looking for something to do with their money to help out the community and help out those in need. This is going to go directly to the people right in Harford County, Maryland. We're going to start here. We're going to start here first, and we're starting there. It's because I live there and I know a lot of people there and I know where a lot of the affected areas are. And then we're going to move, we're going to move into Baltimore County, and then we're going to move into Baltimore City. There's a huge problem in the city. I know a couple people that have programs that work with the homeless people down there too. So we're really going to try some type of program here in the county first. See if we can't get some funding, have God work his magic, and get us a facility where we can have like a short-term type of hotel, type of free living situation for these homeless people to get them back on their feet and then out, into the community, and kind of like rehabilitate people, like really rehabilitate people, and give them the opportunity to improve their lives, because that's where the secret comes in. And then if they improve their life, they got a lot of friends that are homeless too. So maybe they can then encourage their friends to start improving their lives, and they'll start to see that, Joe is doing great now. He used to be living in the woods with me and now he's got his own apartment and everything. Well, I want to be like Joe too, and I want some help, and maybe we can help them too. So this is really what it's all about, is giving back and helping people heal, from their traumas and from their addictions and from their anxiety and from their depression, and from all of their just spiritual problems, because that's what these problems are a lot of times, is they're spiritual problems, and these people just need to be connected closer to Jesus and connected closer to God, and then God can take care of everything. He can help heal these people too. So that's kind of what we're all about. So be on the lookout. We're going to be around. We're going to be doing events. Hopefully, you can come out and support us. Maybe buy some T-shirts and stuff. We're going to try to figure out how to sell some T-shirts and just do some cool stuff and see what happens. You never know. You never know. It's kind of like a grassroots effort starting out. But I don't intend on, taking any kind of big money salary or anything. I mean, I sell real estate. This is not getting started so that, the money can go to the board members of the charity. This is for raising money to go to the people, to go to the causes, to really help the community solve some of these problems that they have that nobody wants to talk about. So thanks for taking the time to watch this video. Hopefully, you subscribe to this channel for more content. I do all kinds of different podcasts and things. So subscribe if you like what you heard, you listen this far, subscribe, and look for more content coming soon. And like I said, we're also going to have some donation information in case you feel like you want to make a donation. We're going to have a way for you to be able to do that. We're currently working on that with getting, a bank account established, and working out something with PayPal or something like that where people can make donations. So thank you for taking the time to watch this video. God bless each and every one of you. And, we're super excited about this news about being a brand new business, charity organization to the Harford County area. So thanks, and we'll see you around.